The unexpected in many ways revival of Liverpool is undeniable feature of the gradually outgoing season. After the last lackluster campaign, marked by injuries and lethargic play, not many people could envisage that just in a year's time Jurgen Klopp's flamboyant team will be aiming for an unprecedented quadruple. Liverpool's astonishing transformation is even more surprising if we recall that it's Klopp's seventh season at the helm of the club, and in his previous teams, the grey-bearded German always desperately struggled by that point. Being in charge of Mainz, Jurgen, who unlike many top managers is accustomed to work really long in one place, couldn't avoid an ignominy in the form of relegation in his sixth campaign and spent the next season trying unsuccessfully to return to Bundesliga. As for his memorable stint at Dortmund, the German visibly lost control over his collective by the late 2014 and left Borussia rather on a sore note than on a high. Observing Liverpool's previous campaign, it was hard to shake off the feeling that the history repeats itself. The series of incredibly poor results in the early 2021 definitely caught Klopp unguarded, and at times he looked like a perplexed man who simply doesn't know what to do. The manager, who used to rely on a small group of footballers, has been simply left short-handed after a barrage of injuries and misfortune. Ultimately, the Reds have been able to save the day by clinching the Champions League spot in the last match of the season, but after a lean transfer campaign, Liverpool's chances to dethrone Manchester City looked blurred at best. It seemed that Klopp is doomed to struggle with the team that apparently passed their peak and with the players that were worn out after several grueling years of laboring without a proper rest. But reality proved to be utterly different. In short, Klopp managed to change, staying truly faithful to his vision and ideals of play. Shifting to a thorough analysis, I highlighted four reasons why this Liverpool season is so prolific. Here they are. The long-anticipated return of Virgil van Dijk, who missed almost the whole campaign through a terrible injury, is not sole but the most obvious reason of the Reds' spectacular progress. The athletic Dutchman is not only the club's leading defender, he is the best in this regard by a mile. Making the back four stable and reliable, Van Dijk, strangely enough, perhaps is even more influential at the offensive end. His ability to cover and control acres of space has a positive impact on the likes of Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. Knowing that the Dutchman provides an extra assurance at the back, Liverpool's attackers could improvise and risk more without thinking about a possible mistake. The same goes for midfielders, who with the mighty Virgil's presence on the pitch could get deeper in their attacking moves and act in a more incisive manner, bearing in mind that the mainstay of defense is ready to redress the situation instantly. But Van Dijk is not the only Klopp's player who entered season being fresh and rejuvenated. Trent Alexander-Arnold missed the Euro due to a coaching decision. However odd may seem Gareth Southgate's choice, it's surely not devoid of logic. Kyle Walker, who is better as defender and athlete, is more suited to the simple and ascetic England play than Trent, with his prodigious ability to start Liverpool's trademark fast breaks. Anyhow, the additional rest enabled Alexander-Arnold to recuperate energy and regain his best form. With 12 assists to his credit, he is currently the leading man at this department in the Premier League. It's quite easy to forget, but Salah, and Mane have been also free during the summer, and both of them surely had reaped the rewards of it. The Egyptian, in the first half of the season, before his African exhausting voyage, was arguably the most exciting footballer in the world, and the Senegalese also became a more productive player if we compare his current and the last year's numbers. By summing up these facts, it would be fair to point out that four well-rested players of such a caliber in a year of high stress and packed fixture gave the Reds a big and important initial advantage, and for Klopp's energy-consuming style it was a truly luxurious gift. One must say that the German is absolutely unique in his approach to the work. First of all, he places enormously high demands on his players, even higher than Josep Guardiola or Zinedine Zidane. Those two are expecting a lot from their footballers in terms of technique and intelligence, ability to make the right decisions on the pitch. Meanwhile, Klopp, in addition to it, is constantly searching for sensational athletes, those who could stably and quite comfortably cope with the supersonic speed, numerous sprints, and hot intensity. Obviously, there are very few of those who fit this bill. That's why the Liverpool manager has been pretty selective in transfers. He has never got footballers by bunches. The grey bearded Jurgen is extremely delicate and scrupulous with regards to active rotation as well. During his Dortmund stint, he used to deploy a very small group of players by the modern standards, 13-14 men, 15-16 in the most extreme case, those who could express his ideas on the pitch in the optimal way. At Liverpool, where he has much more financial resources and other forms of power, the German continued to follow this line, although the English fixture is absolutely relentless. Under these circumstances, he tried to resolve the issue by sacrificing less important competitions, namely the domestic cups. As you can easily see, the results of the Reds in those tournaments were incredibly poor, and Klopp with his attitude at times looked odd, even quirky. On the other hand, this allowed him conserve an important energy for two main competitions. Obviously, Jurgen is smart enough in order to know that he will be judged by the Premier League and Champions League performances. But in 2022, the table suddenly has been turned. Of course, it would be an overstatement to say that the German became an avid fan of rotation. Numerically, the situation looks more or less the same, although this term the Liverpool head coach already actively deployed 19 footballers. I took those who spent at least 600 minutes on the field in the Premier League. At the same time, if we focus our attention on the most trusted figures, the nucleus of the team, the rotation remains incredibly tight. Only 10 players got really good minutes from the fastidious and demanding German. For comparison, Jurgen's arch-rival Guardiola already has 13 footballers with 1,500 plus minutes in the EPL, and Riyad Mahrez is on the brink of getting to this plateau. So yes, Klopp started to rotate more actively, but the truth is that he simply found more quality within the team, and which is incredible, in each line. It would be fair to say that the attack has been strengthened the most. Luis Diaz, the newest acquisition from Porto, already contributed in the major way, and there is little doubt that in the future his output will only increase. As for Diego Jota, he went even further and supplanted Roberto Firmino from the starting 11. The indefatigable South American managed to stay in the active rotation, though Firmino currently is the Reds' second leading goal scorer in the Champions League, despite his limited playing time. Even Divock Origi, who effectively slipped from 4th to 6th man in the attacking pecking order, remains a useful footballer. The Belgian, who recently scored in the Merseyside derby against Everton, is one of the most effective strikers in the world in terms of average goal per minute ratio. In the middle of the field, Klopp also found new options and solutions. With Thiago Alcantara on the pitch, he gains in the ball distribution and precise passing in the positional attack, while the frisky Naby Keita tends to make the game more dynamic. But at the same time, they are pretty much compatible, in case if the German wants to rest the hard-working and ever-agile Jordan Henderson, who is in his early 30s. Let's not forget about the industrious Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, the young Curtis Jones, and the mighty veteran James Milner. All of them did and will do their share. In the defense, the Liverpool manager, by the end of the season, found his own formula of the classic three-man rotation, whereas Van Dijk is playing heavy minutes and basically indispensable. Jurgen constantly alternate Joel Matip and the well-settled Ibrahima Konate. The plan is that both of them move and tackle a lot, while the Dutchman could act more like a professor and concentrate more on reading of play, which Van Dijk is doing splendidly. At last, even in the goal, Klopp finally has been able to establish some kind of variation. Indeed, Alisson confidently retains the number one status, but the Brazilian's understudy, Kayom Kelleher, proved his value and should be credited for the League Cup trophy. Always enabled the Liverpool manager, who assessed the current squad as the best ever he trained, to risk more and not fear being involved in more competitions. There is a Russian idiom: the appetite grows with the eating. As far as I understand, there is no straight analog of it in English, but this expression is more than applicable to the current Liverpool's demeanour. Winning the League Cup after a prolonged and dramatic penalty shootout, Klopp's team gained along with the trophy a boost of confidence and positivity. On the other hand, the relative proximity of the historic quadruple gave and continues to give players an extra energy and motivation. It's still a pretty hard task though, and Klopp, who emphasized that the realistic goal is one more trophy, is not far from truth. In the Premier League, Liverpool are no longer in control of their destiny, given a 1-point deficit to Manchester City and the easier fixture of the citizens. In the AFA Cup final versus Chelsea, another tight and well-balanced game is expected, and in the Champions League, it would be curious to see how the Reds will cope with the fresh, after a comfortable pause, Villarreal that are ready to run at least 120 kilometers per night in the clash of two up-tempo teams. The fourth and final factor, the ever-packed Anfield, been intimidating and irresistible force at home for years, courtesy to their loyal and loud, passionate fans. The Reds unquestionably lost this important edge during the pandemic. The empty seats at Anfield last season were a depressing sight for all but Liverpool's opponents. Without the huge support, perhaps the most frantic in Europe, Klopp's team not only lost unprecedented 6 games on domestic soil, but have been deprived of their signature ferocious intensity and unity with the fans. Now, when the restrictions are mainly over, Liverpool regains their best home form, and in the title quest, it's certainly a huge asset.